Moving on to speaker 18, please. Tracy Barrientos.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Barrientos, and I am a Chicago public school teacher and a proud member of the Chicago Teachers Union. This year I had the opportunity to work in a school with funding to provide the resources required to move our students forward. We had class sizes ranging from 23 to 30 students, which I might add would be overcrowded by private school standards such as Francis Parker and University of Chicago lab schools. However, like those schools, we had highly skilled and dedicated teachers and staff who, through collaboration, set high expectations for our students. We provided state-of-the-art technology classes, art, including performing arts, PE, and recess for our students. Our teachers and staff taught after-school programs focused on increasing the students' academic achievement. In addition, we provided a variety of before and after-school sports programs to help our students experience the value of teamwork and good sportsmanship. We had a bilingual lead teacher for the first time in many years who was able to push into the classroom and team teach our English language learners. And finally, we also provided science labs for our students in grades 3 through 8 to experience hands-on science. When the list of school closings came out, we were on it. We fought side by side, parents, students, teachers, and community members to prove that our school was on the rise. It was a nightmare. Our students and teachers were stressed beyond what anyone can imagine. All this right before ISAT. And still we persevered and we remain open. Our preliminary ISAT scores came in and we saw a significant increase. This is what schools in partnership with parents and teachers and their students can accomplish, given the funds, the resources they need.
Ms. Barrientos, excuse me,
Yes,
can you please conclude?
Now, with the budget cuts, all of this is in jeopardy for schools across this district. You said earlier that you have tried to keep the cuts away from the classroom or to a minimum, but I do not believe that you have done that. As a parent, a teacher, we want our students to have a consistent quality education, just like the private schools in the city, and when you starve schools of the money they need to provide necessary resources, the students lose their teachers and the vital programs needed to continue their success. Shouldn't all schools be funded to be as good as the best?
Thank you, Ms. Barrientos. Our next speaker, please, Reina Martinez. Last call. Moving on to speaker 17, please, Kimberly Walls, followed by speaker 19, Teresa Martinez, followed by speaker 22, Andrea Hernandez. Last call for Kimberly Walls. Last call for Teresa Martinez.
Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Martinez, and I am a 16-year CPS parent and a 9-year LSC member serving as chair for Alexander Graham Bell School on the North Side. I am shocked at what has unfolded with the loss of funding to our schools, how irresponsible the lawmakers and all of you are for allowing this crisis to boil over. What types of games are being played here? None of us in this room before you today appreciate using the children of the city as pawns in the finger-pointing game of who's to blame for the pension mess. What is CPS's slogan? Children first. Children are the first to lose with the budgets you have proposed to each and every school in the system. Shame on you. While we can all appreciate the CPS deficit budget, while we can all appreciate that a CPS budget deficit exists, we cannot continue to balance budgets on the backs of our children. The strategy you have in place jeopardizes the success of some of the most effective and highly praised educational institutions in our state. This strategy also jeopardizes the success of the children who already struggle today to meet academic minimums. Is there hope for a brighter future as the class sizes continue to grow, as enrichment programs are removed, as reading specialists, aides, support staffs are eliminated from our schools? How irresponsible of you to sit back and accept this per pupil allocation hogwash. We all know that this inadequate funding jeopardizes each school's academic mandate and each student's competitive readiness, which ultimately affects the future of our city, our state, our country. How many of you are asking the tough questions? Who's pressuring the mayor for a better solution to find additional resources and creative ways to solve our city's financial crisis? Who's asking about TIF funds? Who's really asking the banks for solutions to lower interest rates on CPS loans? Who? I am asking you to commit your energies to demand action for the well-being of our children and future leaders of this great city. I am asking you to use your roles to take a bigger stand, just like all of us here today, willing to forfeit work time, class time, family time, our summer, to help you focus on the needs of Chicago's children. My job as an LSC member is to fight for the ultimate success of all the children in my school. I'm asking you to do your job by fighting for an adequate per pupil allocation that allows for ultimate success of every CPS student in every school.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ms.
for your
Martinez.
attention.
Our next speaker, please. Speaker number 22, Andrea Hernandez. Last call. Moving on to speaker number 23 and 32, Jeanette Megan and Timothy Megan from Mitchell Elementary School.
Good. My name is Janet Megan, and I am a parent of a soon-to-be third grader at Mitchell Elementary. I am here today because I am angry. I am angry that you cut our budget at Mitchell 23%. We are $188,000 less than we were last year. And we, like many other schools, already have creative ways to make our budget work. We have sought out partnerships in the community, and now we will have to cut some of them, which won't leave a rich and rigorous curriculum as promised with the longer school day. I'm involved with several parent groups from all neighborhoods of the city, and it is the same story at their schools. Art, music, gym, extra reading time, science in some cases have been cut from our longer school day, when those are the exact things we were promised our children would receive if the school day was made longer. These cuts directly impact the classroom. My son has been a CPS student for 5 years now, and every year it is the same thing. I have to argue and fight for funding and for programs not to be cut. This year has been exceptionally difficult. I started off the school year fighting and arguing for teachers. I continued to fight for teachers in schools throughout the year, and I ended the year fighting for teachers in school. And it didn't stop when school let out. I am now spending my summer fighting for schools and teachers. And I went to countless meetings and hearings, and I have heard unbelievable and insulting things come from this board. And like the CEO was asking where parents have been. The hearings and meetings I went to were very well attended, but curiously enough, not by any of you. We are here personally. I have been here every year for the past 5 years fighting for our kids and for our education, and we shouldn't have to argue for it. Why has CPS not listened to parents and taxpayers?
Ms.
I
Megan?
never heard a parent
Ms.
once
Megan?
say, I want my school closed,
Ms.
I want
Megan?
to fire my teachers. I hear you, and I'm tired of hearing how this is the pension problem. How is it my third graders' fault that the city did not pay their pension obligation? It is also not the teachers' fault either because they made their payments. I have a lot more to say, but I understand it's been a long meeting, and Mr. Beenan seems to have a problem staying awake. So, have a good day.
Oh, ma'am, I have no problem staying awake, but you could try to talk at a reasoned tone.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Speaker 32, Timothy Megan, followed by Speaker 24, David Clevitt, followed by Speaker 26, Kathy Cunningham, then 27, Matthew Walter, and Speaker 35, Carol Washington.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Megan. I'm a father of 2 boys, one of whom is entering 3rd grade at Mitchell Elementary. Mitchell lost $788,000 and 3 teachers. I also teach social studies at Roosevelt High School, where we have lost $1.1 million and 12 teachers. In addition, I mentor candidates for national board certification. I'm here today to bear witness to the destruction of public education. 50 schools closed based on a flawed formula. Hearings attended by thousands defending their schools, demonstrating their achievements and importance to the community. They cited real and valid concerns regarding inability to address special needs, chronic instability, racism, and violence. We suffered the indignity of begging to keep what already belongs to us, only to experience the double injustice of being ignored by a system that is supposed to put the needs of children ahead of the interests of the mayor's friends. Now we are faced with budget cuts so severe that the remaining schools are left wondering, how will they function at all? What the Sun-Times declares a conspiracy theory is self-evident to me, that our schools are being starved into failure in order to justify mass privatization. 50 schools closed and over 20 new charter schools, 3,000 teacher layoffs, and $1.6 million for Teach for America recruits, $20 million for Soups Academy, for principal training, all connected, along with our CEO, to the Broad Foundation and other venture philanthropists like CRPE. We believe public education is a social service, not a business, and it is wrong to operate schools as tax shelters or investment opportunities.
Mr. Megan?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Because the profit motive distorts outcomes for children. The bottom line will always take precedence over the individual needs of children. The people of Chicago want strong neighborhood schools that are stable and develop bonds with parents and community. Great schools are built from the ground up. They do not come from the top down.
Thank you,
Invest
Mr. Megan.
properly in
Our
them
next
and they will
speaker.
flourish. We have gone to countless meetings. We have written letters. We have visited our elected officials. We have spoken publicly numerous times, passed petitions, marched in the streets, organized our communities, and been arrested. There are revenues.
Our next speaker, Mr. President, is David Clevitt. Last call for David Clevitt.
Good afternoon. And it's a pleasure meeting you again, Mr. Vitale. Miss Barbara Byrd-Bennett, you have mentioned about your 5-year plan. Now, as an LSE chair, I'm the LSE chairperson for Steinmetz High School. And I would like to offer the invitation again to you, Mr. Vitale, and you, Miss Barbara Byrd-Bennett, to sit down with the LSE, because the difficult task that I had as the LSE chairperson is doing the school budget. Unfortunately, we had to let a few teachers go, which really made me sad. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today because of the capital school improvement funds for the ADA projects for the school system. I had been calling since the beginning of the school year to find out information on the capital and school improvement plan. Steinmetz High School was not even put on that plan. And we desperately need the fire alarm fixed or an upgrade, as well as the plumbing, our elevator system, and we also lost one of our engineers in October. And I've been trying to get the engineer back at Steinmetz, because Steinmetz has 3 engineers, and they were a valuable asset to the school. So what I would like to do now is invite you, Mr. Vitale, or you, Miss Barbara Bennett, to come to Steinmetz, or even to meet with me, because I've been trying to get answers to these questions, and I've talked to several people within
Mr.
the Board of
Swanson?
Education.
Mr.
Yes,
Swanson,
I'm almost finished.
Thank you.
I just extend my invitation for you to come to Steinmetz, or schedule an appointment for me to come meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please, will be Speaker 47, Jeremy Peters, followed by Speaker 40, Edward Hershey, followed by Speaker 41, Maria Velasquez, and then Speaker 43, please, Francis Newman.
It was good morning, but I guess it's good afternoon now. My name is Edward Hershey. I'm a physics teacher at Lindblom Math and Science Academy. I've headed our AP Physics program with notable successes in the past few years. I also helped coach the robotics team there. Our team came in first place after qualifying matches at the Midwest Regional this year, and I can say without qualification that we're the best team in the city. I'm here to express concern on my own behalf, on behalf of my many colleagues and students, and I'm in solidarity with the students who left. My employee number is 142043. Lindblom is going to have approximately the same budget next year as I'm told, and we do not face a horrific staffing cut seen at other schools. However, we're going to go from about 1,000 students to between 1,100 and 1,200 students. And if this budgeting continues, I'm told we aren't going to lose any staff, but we will not be able to afford additional curriculum materials or any other materials. The math there is simple enough. The same money is to be spread over the education of 100 to 200 more students, and the implications there should be obvious to all of you. The budget situation at my school is unacceptable, but I want to express my solidarity with neighborhood schools such as Robeson, whom I know will be hit that much harder. I had more, but I want to take up an issue. Mr. Beenan, you would have us believe it's magical thinking for TIF funds to be used to support our schools. Was it magic?
I did not refer to TIF funds at all, sir. I referred to swaps. Try to
You said
remember what I
TIF.
said.
You said TIF and swap, I believe.
No, I did not.
Well, in any case, Daley turned $100 million to $160 million over several years ago back to the schools. The TIF funds.
Mr. Hershey, excuse me, can you please conclude?
TIF funds take about $200 million a year, and if Mr. Cawley is to be believed, the cuts in classroom is about $70 million. That's not that hard a problem to solve, and I would encourage
Thank you,
to
Mr.
do
Hershey.
that.
Mr. Hershey, excuse me one second. Do you think that the school board has the power to assign TIF funds?
You could say something.
Do you think it has the power to assign TIF funds?
I think you could get a meeting with the mayor.
You still haven't answered my question.
But we could see you advocating. You're a trustee of public education. We could see you advocating for public education and advocating.
You don't know that we
If you don't have the power, that's fine, but you could say it. I don't have the power to do it. I'm getting up here and saying it. You could do the same.
But how do you know? Yeah, how do you know we don't?
I haven't seen you say any of this at these meetings or in the media. You could do that. I'm doing that. You could do that as well. You have that power.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next speaker then is Speaker 44, Jacqueline Casimir, followed by Speaker 50, Joe Wallace, followed by Speaker 53, Pam-Ola Alonso, and 54, Alonda McCaster. Last call for Jacqueline Casimir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say I thank you for this opportunity to speak, but this is what I want to say. I am one of the ones, the schools that was cut. I am a seeker. I've been a teacher.
Ma'am, could I ask you to speak into the microphone, and could you introduce yourself, please? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I am a Chicago Board employee, I think, because I'm not sure if I'm still.
What's your name, ma'am?
I'm sorry. My name is Jacqueline Casimir.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a seeker. I'm a parent. I've been a teacher assistant. I've been working with special ed for a very long time. I'm a mother of a special ed, and he just turned 38, and he graduated from Chicago Public School. I myself has a disability, so please don't cut me or any of our other. I have experience working with special ed, and the transition that I'm speaking of is to our special ed. There has been lots of talk about them successfully adapting to another school. Well, you said that we're going to transfer with our student, but like I said, I haven't been told where I'm going, so I don't know where my next paycheck's going to come to. But whether you rehire me or not, I'm going to continue to advocate for the special ed and for children and for education, because I am a product of education and an educator. We need to have the experience of our special ed employee who works with special ed as well to continue their success at adapting to a regular sector. If you cut what has been making something work, how do you expect for them to continue on in the same progress? I don't know if any of you all have children with disabilities or whether or not if you have disability of your own, but think about what you had to do and what you had to accomplish to go into the main sector. I'm a little excited, and I hope I'm speaking clearly, because I'm a very passionate person, and I love what I do because God gave me this gift to work with it. Many people can't do it. So I plan on staying here until you keep me, until I can't be here anymore. So My receiving school was
Ms.
Ryder.
Casimir,
Yes.
excuse me, can you please conclude?
I sure will.
Thank you.
And I was at Garrett and Morgan Elementary, and I'm telling you, we need to have the people to follow with our special ed students so we know that it would be a success as much as possibly of them maintaining. They know who I am. They recognize us, as well as all the other schools, and I'm speaking an advocate for all the schools.
Thank
So
you, Ms.
please
Casimir.
think about it, please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Our next speaker is Speaker 55, Patricia Breckenridge, followed by the last speaker, Speaker 58, Rosita Shatanda.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm very glad to be able to speak with you today. I spent 4 days at the injunction hearings from the 16th through the 19th trying to get an understanding as to why so many schools have to close. I'm an AFT-IFT CTU delegate, and I'm very concerned about the school closings and how so many families will be affected as a result of the school closings. And I understand that there's about 700 schools within the Chicago public school system, and you are allocating $210 million plus to this project of closing schools and welcoming schools, whereas 700 schools can receive $3 million apiece. And that would be more rational, it would seem to me, when you're cutting budgets in schools. And you're also starting a student budgeting program that the principal is responsible for. So with the budget cuts and the student budget programming, if the school doesn't succeed, then that's another failure for our schools and our students and our communities. So I would like for you to reconsider allocating $3 million to the 700 schools instead of just giving the $210 million to 100 schools. Is there an opinion on that, or can I ask for an opinion on that? No opinion on that? That the wealth should be spread around to the schools? Okay. Well, at the injunction hearing, there was an expert witness, and he said that it's only, you know, it's not rocket science. Well, you don't have to be rocket scientist to figure out.
Excuse me, Ms. Breckenridge, can you please conclude?
To figure out that you could take the overcrowded schools and merge them with the underutilized schools and stop those schools from closing. And also, I feel as though, like Dr. Bourbon, and I know that all the schools in Detroit are chartered now. So I don't want to see all the schools become chartered in Chicago and open them up for corporations and privatization.
Thank you, Ms. Breckenridge.
Because that would not be, I don't think, beneficial to the community.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
As I said, I guess we say the best for last. I am here today because we're working in our communities, and
You know, we know who you are, but
yes.
you ought to introduce yourself anyway.
Okay, Rosita Chitanda. And I'm here today because we tried to address CPS through our CAC and really to try to deal with our community voice as we come. One of the things that I'm concerned about is the 3,000 teachers that are going to lose their job. I mean, I understand the budget cuts, but I also understand what it's like to be a teacher, to be a parent, to have children, and then to have to look and say, well, you know, how do we support our families? And we know you're not, well, we thought you were, I don't want to say an employment agency, but we kind of are concerned about the welfare of my former colleagues. That's why I formed my organization, CAUSE. We do support them during the times when they are not union members, when they are coming out. We have teachers that are just completely devastated by this. So I am a member of the CAC outreach chair and concerned about the 200 TFA positions and the money allocated for Teach for Chicago. When we're, Teach for America, I'm sorry. When we are in such a desperate need for jobs for our own community, we have our students that we would like to become teachers. We have young people. I could fill this room full of my own children's friends who went through CPS.
Ms. Shatunda?
Stay 9, I'm going to finish.
Thank
Stay
you.
9, 8, and 9, went away to college, and they have no jobs. So we're going to address this through our CAC. We would like our young people to have the opportunity to work in our communities as role models for the children who are in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sherman.
That concludes public participation. Thank you.
Okay. I would ask my fellow board members if they have any comments about our public participation or any questions about our public agenda that they would like to ask of the management.
Okay. The only thing I was going to say, because it was brought up several times about TIF funds, and I think that Tim explained how some of the TIF funds would be used for not only the building of Jones, but I've been out with Tim myself to schools where we've had to put in security, we've had to put in floors, boilers. So I think that if one of the things that might be able to be done, if you're concerned about how the TIF funds are used, maybe you ought to meet with some of the schools that the TIF funds are going to and see if you can get those LSCs and parents to give up some of those funds or give back some of those improvements. And also the fact that the gentleman didn't know that we don't make the decision about TIF funds. That's sort of disturbing, that you come up and talk about things that you really don't know, and we get accused of things and you're not even totally informed. So that's it. Well, why didn't you answer him? Okay, thank you. I didn't hear it. Thank you very much. Thank you, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Allison, no. Okay. I would point out, Mr. Hershey, since you brought it up, that, and I mentioned it to President Lewis. I mentioned it when President Lewis was up here. While she may deny it, it is absolutely true that during contract negotiations last year, I proposed that we form a joint committee that would actually allow us to go down and advocate for a solution to our structural problem in Springfield. And I must tell you, and there's plenty of people who are around the table with me, that that proposal was rejected. I really do believe that we have more power collectively than we do individually, and I hope Karen is serious about working with us to try to solve this problem collectively. It really is an important problem for our teachers, but it's more important for our kids. And anybody that thinks we're not serious about trying to solve it, I'm sorry, we are, but we do have limits to our capability to operate alone. We need to operate more collectively to solve them. With that, do you have a motion, Dr. Hines?
Yes, I move for the passage of the motion number 13-0724-M01 and the commencement of a closed session to consider the subject specified in the motion.
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Dr. Hines?
Aye.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay. We'll now move into closed session. Okay, the meeting of the Board of Education is reconvened. Madam Secretary, please proceed with the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I begin, I would like to note for the record that Board Member Zapp has joined the board meeting via telephone conference. I will continue now with the items from closed session, and I will begin with settlements. These items do require a vote. First report, workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Deborah Blackman Parish, case number 10WC 4029. The second report, approve implementation of arbitration award in Chicago Teachers Union grievance number 4701/11-06-128, brought on behalf of Laura Gallo, teacher formerly assigned to Edison Park Elementary School. The third report, approve settlement recommendation in Alicia Atwater, case number 12C4231. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
May I have a motion?
I move.
Second. Okay.
Thank you. I will proceed with a roll call. Dr. Beenan.
Aye.
Dr. Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Zapp.
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia,
Yes.
President Vitale.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. I will continue with warning resolutions, Mr. President, and these items do require a vote. Alexander Phillips, Principal, Suter Montessori Magnet Elementary School. Adam Parrott Schaefer, Principal, Peterson Elementary School. Anise Mitchell, Special Education Teacher, Cone Elementary School. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will continue with one other matter. This item does require a vote. Adopt finding that pupils are non-residents of the City of Chicago indebted to the Chicago Public Schools for non-resident tuition. Mr. President, this item does require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will continue with items from the board, and these items do require a vote, and they are: first report, resolution by the Board of Education of the City of Chicago regarding the dismissal of Kathleen Kinsella, tenured teacher assigned to Ray Elementary School. And for the record, Mr. President, I would like to note that this resolution accepts in part and rejects in part the hearing officer's recommendation to reinstate Kathleen Kinsella. The second report is resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss educational support personnel. The third report is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers. And for the record, I would like to note that on July 12, 2013, the board members and the office of the board received the CEO's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers pursuant to Board Rules 4-7B2B and 105 ILCS 5/34-84. Her recommendation included the names of the teachers affected and the reasons. She also noted that the teachers affected will be notified of their dismissal after adoption of the resolution. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I believe that Dr. Escoitia has a motion, please.
Yes. I move that pursuant to Section 206 of the Open Meetings Act, board members have reviewed the redacted portions of closed session minutes for the period beginning July 1995 through June 2011. The board previously opened these closed minutes for public inspection with noted redactions in January 2012 and January 2013. The board finds that the need for confidentiality continues to exist for the redacted portions of these minutes, which portions will not be available for public inspection.
May I have a second?
Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Dr. Hines?
Aye.
Board Member Zapp?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. And I believe Dr. Beenan has a motion, please.
Yes. I move that pursuant to Section 2.06D of the Open Meetings Act, the board members have reviewed closed session minutes for the period beginning July 2011 through December 2011. The board members have determined that the need for confidentiality does not exist as to those minutes, except as indicated in the redacted portions. Minutes were redacted for the following: privileged attorney-client communications, the information subject to privacy or confidentiality protections in state or federal law, and C, information where the board determines it necessary to protect the public interest or the privacy of an individual. The board finds that the need for confidentiality as to the redacted material remains. Upon adoption of this motion, all closed session minutes from July 2011 through December 2011 with noted redactions will be available for public inspection.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Dr. Hines?
Yes.
Board Member Zapp?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and I believe Dr. Hines has a motion, please.
I move that the board adopt the minutes of the closed session meeting of June 26, 2013. Board members have reviewed these minutes along with previously approved minutes of closed sessions from January 2012 through May 2013 in accordance with Section 2.06D of the Open Meetings Act. Following this review, board members have determined that the need for confidentiality exists as to all closed session minutes from January 2012 through June 2013, and therefore these minutes will not be available for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Dr. Hines?
Yes.
Board Member Zapp?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and I believe that Dr. Escoitia has a motion, please.
Section 206 of the Open Meetings Act permits the destruction of audio recordings of closed session meetings no less than 18 months after the completion of a meeting if the board has approved the minutes at the closed meeting and approves the destruction. The board's closed session meetings from July 2012 until December 2011 occurred more than 18 months ago, and the board secretary maintains board-approved confidential minutes of all such closed sessions. Therefore, I move that the audio recordings of the board's closed session meetings from July 2011 until December 2011, as itemized on the attached Appendix A, be authorized for destruction in accordance with the Open Meetings Act.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Beenan?
Yes.
Dr. Hines?
Yes.
Board Member Zapp? Board Member Zapp?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and I believe that Dr. Beenan has a motion, please.
I move that the record of proceedings of the regular board meetings of June 26, 2013, prepared by the board secretary, be approved, and such record of proceedings be posted on the Chicago Board of Education website in accordance with Section 2.06B of the Open Meetings Act.
May I have a second?
I seconded.
Thank you. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Dr. Hines?
Yes.
Board Member Zapp?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Mr. President, I will now begin with the items on the public agenda and only read the board report numbers since the titles and board reports appeared on the public agenda. I will begin with resolutions and policies. These items do require a vote, and they are RS 1, 2, 3, RS 4, 5, 6, 7, PO1, and PO2. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now continue with the communication. This item does not require a vote. This communication is this is to advise that the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for Wednesday, August 28, 2013 will be held at the Central Administration Building, 125 South Clark Street, Board Chamber, 5th floor. The board meeting will begin at 10:30 a.m. Public participation guidelines are available on our website. For the August 28, 2013 board meeting, advanced registration will be available beginning Monday, August 19th at 8 a.m. and closed Friday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. or when all 60 speaking slots are filled. You can advance register during the registration period by the following methods: online, by phone, or in person. The public participation segment of the meeting will begin as indicated in the meeting agenda and proceed for no more than the 60 registered speakers. The next set of board reports do require a vote, Mr. President, and they are EX1, 2, 3, EX4, 5, ED1. For the record, Mr. President, I would like to note an abstention for you on ED1. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will continue with additional items that require a vote, and they are PR 1, 2, 3, 4, PR 5. For the record, I would like to note an abstention for Dr. Beenan on PR 5. Moving on to PR 6, 7, PR 8, 9, 10, 11, PR 12, 13, 14, 15, PR 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll continue with additional items that do require a vote, and they are OP1, OP2. For the record, I would like to note an abstentions for Dr. Hines on OP2. Moving on to OP3, 4, OP5, 6, 7. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will continue with items that do not require a vote, and they are EX6, 7, and AR1. And Mr. President, these items just need to be accepted by the board.
Madam Secretary, please mark received and filed with noted abstention.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm sorry, on that one, I'll strike the noted abstention, Mr. President. There was no abstentions for those items just that need to be documented for EX6, 7, and AR1. So those are just marked received and filed. And Mr. President, there are no further items on the public agenda.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We adjourn. Thank you very much.